Reminder, all articles can be listened to through the Substack app for those who don't prefer to read. The following relies on Pausanias and on the Bible, a little too much for me to get behind it, however. Included in it is something of great value in terms of the radical nec, or neg, which could look like knock or nesh, as well as nex, nox, knock, nog, etc. Anaki. The Greek word anax, alphanualphazai, means chief, lord, or military leader, often translated as king. The feminine form of this would be anasa, alphanualpha sigma sigma alpha, signifying queen. In the Iliad, Agamemnon is referred to as Anax Andron, or leader of men. It is also a ceremonial epithet of Zeus. The word is already archaic by the time of Homer. Jacob Bryant suspected this is because Anax is from an Ammonian radical. Bryant wrote Anal. ANC myth, page 72. Anak was a title of high antiquity, and seems to have been originally appropriated to persons of great strength and stature. Such people in the plural were styled Anakim, and one family of them were to be found at Kirjath Arba. Judges, c. 1, v. 10, Joshua, c. 15, v. 13, Deuteronomy, c. 2, v. 21, Joshua, c. 11, v. 22. The priests at the Eleusinian mysteries were called Alpha Nu Alpha Kappa Tau Omicron Tau Epsilon Lambda Epsilon Sigma Alpha Iota, and Actotalestai. Clement, Alex, Cohort, p. 16. Anak is a poor transliteration of which, if sticking to the Etrusco-Phoenician system that Hebrew is claimed to get its letters from, and not the Middle Ages invention that modern Hebrew is, should be Ionq. If interchanging the E with H, it would be Honq, not Anak. However, the NQ radical will still be of value given that NEC or neg is significant to the name of an Egyptian king Nikos that allegedly hired Phoenicians to sail around Africa for the first time. To revisit the accounts of Herodotus about King Nikos hiring Phoenicians or other Mediterranean navigators to sail around Africa, revisit this article. Anakim is also a bizarre transliteration for what is written in Deuteronomy. It is written, which is konkim. The I'm can be disregarded because it is a termination that indicates plurality. Instead of Honq or Yoenq, it is written Konq or Konk, not Anak. In the following passage of Joshua, Anakim is written, which is Onkim. That letter Ion is an O in Phoenician, from whence comes the Greek omicron. This is a big deal in Mediterranean languages regarding pronunciation. Bryant continued, IB, page 72. Some of them were likewise among the Caphtorim who settled in Palestina. Pausanias represents Asterion, whose tomb is said to have been discovered in Lydia, as a son of Anak and of an enormous size. The root of Asterion is Aster, which means star. The enormous father of a star would be the sun, if looking at this from an astrotheological perspective. Είναι δε Asterion μεν ανακτός. Ανακτά δε γης ως τα εφανή το σχήμα περιεχόντα εσπηγιώτα σίγματα φιωτανή, ως εστιν ανθρώπου επιδιά μεγέθος ουκ εστιν όπως ανεδόξεν. Literal translation, he is Asterion but anactos. Reclaim, children of earth bones, the figure containing faith is visible, as it is human-sized, not as if it were glorified. Pausanias, L1. Page 87. It was in the island laid before Miletus. The author adds, when the bones were discovered. See Cicero de Natter. El tria. O phanax, anaktis. Tus dios kurus anakasogota Athenai prosigorefsan. The Athenians depicted Anakas as a kouros, naked male statue. Plutarch. Numa. I found accounts of Asterion in Pausanias' description of Greece, referred to as a plant, a river, and the son of Minos, or grandson of Zeus, in addition to what seems like another version, the son of Anactos. As a brief side note, I wonder if there was consideration of this radical in the Phoenician name for Britain, which was Bradanac, country of tin. The challenge to find the passage in English is that it is transliterated as Asterius and Anax, though they are written Asterion and Anactos respectively in Greek. Anactos is claimed to be the son of the earth, if translated properly, which, if copying from older stories in a time prior to adjectives, would be to say he is like the earth, or has qualities of the earth, perhaps a farmer or reaper. It does say that the corpse was no less than 10 cubits, which is about 15 feet. But how do we know this isn't a misunderstanding of a description of a river cutting through the earth, no less than 10 cubits wide, given that Asterion is a river god? Bryant continued, IB, pages 72-73. We may from hence perceive that the history of the Anakim was not totally obliterated among the Grecians. Some of their deities were styled Alpha Nu Alpha Kappa Tau Epsilon, Anactes. others Alpha Nu Alpha Kappa Tau Omicron Rho Epsilon and Actores, and their temples Alpha Nu Alpha Kappa Tau Omicron Rho Iota Alpha and Actoria. Michael Sellis, speaking of heresies, page 10, mentions that some people were so debased as to worship Satanaki, Alpha Upsilon Tau Omicron Nu Delta Epsilon Mu Omicron Nu Epsilon Pi Iota Gamma Epsilon Iota Omicron Nu Sigma Alpha Tau Alpha Nu Alpha Kappa Iota, Epsilon Upsilon Sigma Tau Epsilon Rho Nu Iota Zeta Omicron Nu Tau Alpha Iota. Satanaki seems to be Satan Anak, Delta Iota Alpha Beta Omicron Lambda Omicron Beta Alpha Sigma Iota Lambda Epsilon Upsilon, King Accuser, King Devil. This termination Naki may be affixed to Anunnaki, which could signify King of the Year. Necho, Nacho, Negus, Negus, which in the Egyptian and Ethiopic languages signified a king, probably was an abbreviation of Anico and Anicus. It was sometimes expressed Nachi and Nachi. The buildings represented at Persepolis are said to be the work of Naki Rustan, which signifies the Lord or Prince Rustan. Egyptian and Ethiopic languages are Greek-based, or at least, the mapping out of those languages through the alphabet is a Greek-based system. However, this root NEC or Neg or even Nox pertains to things like black, Negro, death, Necro, and even night Nox. Something to think about should my suspicions of the ancient Italian languages giving way to Latin make Latin an older language than previously supposed. To learn about the priestcraft embedded in mythology and scripture, as well as the significance of alphabets in terms of cultural diffusion, dive into the Spirit World series, and then the Real Universal Empire. Become a member to access the rest of this article.